So, starting off today with some unfortunate, sad news, IDW Publishing is going to be laying off some of its workers due to the recent Big V related shutdown going on within the comic book industry. We reported last month how IDW was furloughing some of their employees, just temporarily laying them off to take them back later, but now a more permanent kind of layoff is going into effect. The statement here was, in April, IDW made some difficult decisions to furlough several valued staff members, and in 2 weeks, IDW welcomed several of those staffers back full-time. However, as we continue to adapt and deal with these challenging times, we are forced to lay off some of our longtime coworkers and friends. Although tough decisions like this are an unfortunate business reality, and there is never a good time for them, these changes are necessary to ensure the long-term health of the company. Now, I'm going to mention some of the people that were laid off and who they were within the company, and then one that was really kind of even a shocker for me. So one of the individuals was David Hedgecock. He worked on the Angry Birds license with Transformers. He was an associated publisher within the company, and he also worked on a slew of the crossover stuff with Transformers, like Mask, Micronauts, the First Strike stuff, Revolution. And it comes to no surprise that David Hedgecock actually was the guy who pitched the initial idea for the Hasbro shared universe way back in 2015, 2016. So he is one of those individuals. Another one is Gilberto Lazcano. And he was a letterer for some of the More Than Meets the Eye books, as well as also the Transformer crossover books. At least in his case, he got to live his childhood dream, where one of his favorite moments at working with IDW was he got to work with Kevin Eastman, the creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So even though him being laid off from IDW was very saddening to him, at least he got an opportunity to do something that his childhood self would have never dreamed of doing. Another individual was also a letterer, Christa Miesner. Worked on some of the IDW More Than Meets the Eye books as a letterer, as well as the incomplete run of the Star Trek versus Transformer books. Her and Gilberto were both senior graphic designers within the company, not really on the company as letterers, but they would be put as letterers when needed for specific books. So they were more like not. And I talked about this in a previous segment. I'll link it in the comments below. But how pretty much the hiring process works and how certain people were chosen to be laid off and furloughed. Then we have the brand and marketing manager, Spencer Reeve. He was also let off too. And that really shows just high up on the food chain. Some people are getting pulled off. And speaking of high up on the food chain, here's the one that surprised me the most. Now, a month ago, when we were talking about these furloughs and everything, the big statement of everything by IDW officially was done by Denton Tipton. And he at the time was very important within the company. And I mean, he was the managing editor, and there's just so much other stuff that he's done, like in between that and then some. And it's a shame because he was also let off. And that was quite a shock because he's been with that company for over 12 years. He was hired by Ted Adams back in 2008 and worked on a significant amount of books within IDW, and especially the ones that we value so dear. And there were statements from different people within IDW when this news broke, just wishing kind of like their condolences in a lot of ways. One of them being Andrew Griffith, who was like saying, all the best to you, man. I'll never forget you giving me my first shot. So that one surprises me a lot that Denton is being laid off. I mean, just to go through quickly some of the stuff that he was editor on and associated editor. Transformers Animated, the comic book series, a butt ton of the Spotlight books, including Spotlight Drift, which was Alex Milne's like first real foray into the G1 continuity outside of Megatron Origins, which I always felt was kind of like more of a Dreamwave book than an IDW book, even though it officially was a Dreamwave book. Denton with Joshua Perez, Alex Milne, that Drift book really was kind of like Alex's real, coming out party, so to speak. With that mini-series. But again, all those Spotlight books, All Hail Megatron, Transformers Alliance, all the Best of UK stuff, Defiance, Devastation, Maximum Dinobots, The Revenge of the Fallen adaptations, the Saga of the Allspark, all those like art books like The Ark and everything, Reign of Starscream, a lot of Alex Milne stuff, so there's a bit strong tie there. The Transformers 2009 series, the Bumblebee book, the Ironhide miniseries, which was another really good one I enjoyed. Last Stand of the Wreckers, need I say more with that one? Nefarious, Tales of the Fallen. Dude had quite a record. And it, again, super surprising to see him being laid off, considering high up on the food chain he was. And it's a shame. It really is a shame to see him go, because he was very important to a lot of individuals within that company and a lot of individuals' opportunities to work within that company. And so I wish him all the best in his future endeavors, and it's such a shame to hear about that. And this is what's going on right now, guys. Industry is having its problems. And every time I turn on the news, there's different kind of things about reopening the economy or not reopening the economy. But I will say this, if and when our local comic book stores reopen, and I said this in the last segment too, which I'm going to link in the comments below, but go out there and support them. Day one, they are going to need this desperately, because it's a domino effect. The comic book stores don't survive. They ain't ordering books. The comic book companies don't survive. It's save your local comic book store, keep them in business, and as a result, you're going to keep your favorite creators, artists, writers, colorists. You're going to keep them in business. You're going to keep the companies in business, especially the small ones. Stuff like IDW, stuff like Boom Studios. You're going to need to help out these guys, because this is going to be tough times moving ahead. In a world where we can't get physical media is suffering more than anything. And seeing Denton go down is one of those like real wake-up calls of like people are dropping like flies within companies just to keep them afloat. Can't keep them on the payroll anymore. And it's not looking good. So again, please, when local comic book stores open up, get out there, buy some books, keep it alive, and show them what you like. Let them know that you want IDW books. Let them know that you're interested in the Transformer product. And if it's anything else, if you enjoy Boom Studios, WWE stuff, if you enjoy IDW's G.I. Joe stuff, just let them know so that comic book stores can continue ordering and keeping this company alive during some really tough times right now. And also, just to add that tonight, Andrew Griffith, as I mentioned just before, he's going to be doing an online Zoom discussion with people from the comic book industry and local store owners, with a whole bunch of people on the Year One Comic Books podcast. And I'll also put that link in the description below and in the comments. It's tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I believe you have to have the Zoom app. I could be wrong. I know I have it on my phone, but I think you could also do it on a PC or a laptop if you don't have the app. But check that out too. It should be very interesting to see that discussion, because all us big, comic book fans, this is big news. This is big news. And as Transformer fans on top of that, it's very sad news. So let's just try to keep it all together, keep our heads up, and try to brave through the craziness that we live in this world right now.